It was the early days of the seventh console generation, and motion controls were at the forefront of gaming innovation. Nintendo had launched the Wii just a year prior, and while it was selling incredibly well, serious gamers remained skeptical about whether motion controls could truly deliver engaging experiences beyond simple party games like Wii Sports. Console gaming stood at a crossroads, with Microsoft and Sony pushing cutting-edge graphics on Xbox 360 and PS3, while Nintendo chose a completely different path with the underpowered but innovative Wii. 2007 became arguably one of the best years in gaming history. Many revolutionary titles pushed the industry to new heights, with several landmark games emerging as staples in the gaming community. Titles like Halo 3, BioShock, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, Portal, God of War 2, all great games, each establishing themselves as gaming masterpieces. Despite their brilliance, Super Mario Galaxy often became the forgotten cousin of this remarkable year in gaming. A masterpiece that promised innovative gameplay, groundbreaking gravity mechanics, and a musical score unlike anything before it. The nostalgic connection to Mario's past adventures, combined with the excitement of unexplored premise of space, created the perfect recipe for a game that would redefine platforming yet again. Mario games have been a staple to Nintendo's worldwide success ever since the beginning of their journey in the video game industry. However, it wasn't until Nintendo 64 when we first saw the true 3D Mario game in the form of Super Mario 64. True 3D visuals in the 90s was a huge feat, and it's no surprise that Nintendo continues to release 3D Mario games with massive success. The development of Super Mario Galaxy can actually be traced all the way back before the Nintendo GameCube was even released. During Nintendo's Space World trade show in the year 2000, Shigeru Miyamoto, the mastermind and genius behind Nintendo's creative direction, who helped create some of the company's most iconic characters in video game history, such as Mario, Donkey Kong, Link, Star Fox, and others. He showcased Super Mario 128. The name pretty much insinuates what the entire demo was about. It showed 128 Marios rendered walking around simultaneously to impress people with the processing power of the upcoming Nintendo GameCube. The terrain in the demo also shifted to demonstrate the physics capabilities in the engine's new software. While Miyamoto promised that Super Mario 128 was going to be more than just a tech demo, he eventually came out in 2007 and confessed that Super Mario 128 was just used to show off the GameCube's power. However, the technology that was displayed at the end of that event was eventually used in other Nintendo games, such as Pikmin, Metroid Prime, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, and then eventually Super Mario Galaxy. In 2005, Nintendo's internal development team had just wrapped up the release of the infamous DK Jungle for the Nintendo GameCube. And once they finished that game, the development of Super Mario Galaxy started to ramp up. The development team at the time wanted to make a Mario game that would surpass everyone's expectations. They wanted to make something that people would continue to play for years and years to come. In order to achieve this feat, Nintendo's entertainment development team eventually decided that they wanted to take Mario 128 and expand upon the concept of spherical worlds. It made sense that planets and outer space theme would be the best use of Mario 128 in Super Mario Galaxy. Super Mario Galaxy was finally shown off at E3 2006 and was actually supposed to be a launch title for the Nintendo Wii. However, the developers decided to take their time with the game and push the release date to November 2007. On November 12, 2007, Super Mario Galaxy officially launched, marking the beginning of what would become one of the most critically acclaimed gaming experiences of all time. Released exclusively for the Nintendo Wii, the game had already built up an unprecedented level of anticipation following early preview footage that showcased its revolutionary gravity mechanics, colorful galaxy hopping premise, and a return to 3D platforming that made Super Mario 64 legendary. Within its first year, Super Mario Galaxy sold over 6.1 million copies worldwide, making it one of the best-selling Wii games of all time. The game received universal acclaim, achieving a 97 on Metacritic, making it one of the highest-rated video games of all time. Critics and players alike praised the game's innovative gravity-based gameplay mechanics, orchestrated musical score, and creative level design. On average, players were spending countless hours exploring the galaxies, collecting stars, and mastering the unique spherical environments that define the game. The numbers alone prove that Super Mario Galaxy had captivated players in a way few games ever had. But beyond the stats, the true magic came from the experience. The sense of wonder, the musical score, and the feeling of discovery that made every session feel like an adventure. And I'll be honest, this wasn't Nintendo taking some unprecedented risk. After all, they had already revolutionized 3D platforming with Super Mario 64. What made Galaxy special was its masterful refinement and expansion of that foundation, elegantly solving many of 64's camera issues through its ingenious spherical design. The true brilliance lay in how it transformed familiar Mario gameplay into something that felt completely fresh and innovative, while preserving the core elements that made the original 3D Mario so captivating. Right from the start of the game, Nintendo demonstrates their mastery in crafting immersive worlds. By introducing you to a beautifully realized Mushroom Kingdom, the story begins with Princess Peach inviting Mario to the castle for the Star Festival. As Mario arrives at the celebration, Bowser makes his grand entrance in dramatic fashion, with a fleet of airships. Then Bowser literally uproots Peach's entire castle from the ground and carries it into the cosmos. Mario makes a valiant attempt to rescue the princess, leaping desperately toward the ascending castle, only to be blasted away by Kamek's magic. Hurtled into the vast emptiness of space, Mario awakens to find himself in the presence of a cheerful little star creature named Luma, who becomes his guide to the galactic adventure ahead. After progressing through the mission, you come to meet Rosalina, who tells you that Bowser has taken the power from the Grand Stars and that Bowser has taken Peach to the center of the universe. In order to get Peach back, Mario must travel from galaxy to galaxy, getting Grand Stars in order to power the observatory. While Galaxy's story may be the typical Bowser kidnaps Peach scenario that we are accustomed to seeing in Mario games, the story just flows so well. While playing Super Mario Galaxy, I never think to myself that anything from Galaxy's story is out of place in any sort of way. On top of that, Super Mario Galaxy not only offers the Mario lore that fans had grown up to love, but it also offers a true cinematic experience for everyone that plays this game. The opening area and the first few missions in Super Mario Galaxy had a way of pulling players in, not with cutting-edge graphics or complex storytelling, but with a sense of pure joy and discovery. It felt like we were stepping into the exact game that Nintendo had promised, only this time it exceeded all expectations. Nintendo's masterful pacing and constant introduction of new mechanics and environments kept the game fresh from beginning to end, never allowing it to grow stale or repetitive. In other 3D Mario games, the cutscenes aren't necessarily terrible, but they simply can't compare to the masterful cinematics showcased in Super Mario Galaxy. Most of them display important events, endings, or even show you what is going on in the game. However, Super Mario Galaxy's cinematic scenes have the ability to just grip the player and draw you into the game. Whenever I see Bowser on the screen, I feel that Bowser is a legitimate threat, unlike in other titles where his cutscene roles are typically limited to either kidnapping Peach or sulking after his plans are foiled by Mario yet again. While many of us know that Nintendo Wii was underpowered, I would have to say that Super Mario Galaxy is by far one of the best looking Wii games. Despite the Wii only outputting 480p, I would go on to argue that Super Mario Galaxy is one of the best looking Mario games that has ever released. Sure, the graphical quality of the game doesn't match the smoothness of Super Mario 3D World or Super Mario Odyssey, but Nintendo accomplished something remarkable with the hardware they had. They extracted every possible capability from Nintendo Wii, delivering a cinematic masterpiece that continues to captivate discussions years later. The bright colors just pop off the screen, the space theme is just so much fun to look at as Mario flies through the air, the lights are perfection, and the galaxies are exhilarating. Again, this just shows that Nintendo utilized every single thing they could with the Nintendo Wii. On top of that, Super Mario Galaxy's soundtrack is probably one of the best video game soundtracks that could ever be presented in a game. In fact, the soundtrack for Super Mario Galaxy was the first soundtrack to be orchestrated in a Mario series. Yoshihiro Yokota and Kanji Kondo's compositions weren't just background music. They were an essential part of the experience, dynamically shifting between grand, orchestral pieces during epic moments, and playful whimsical tunes during exploration. The juxtaposition of classical orchestration with playful Nintendo melodies created something truly unique. The music's ability to evoke wonder, tension, and joy perfectly mirrored the emotional journey of playing through each galaxy. Power-ups also make their return in Super Mario Galaxy, and while it sounds exciting, I have to be quite honest, the power-ups here are quite underwhelming and mediocre at best, and I think the power-ups have a unique idea behind them, but at the same time, they're usually only able to be used for a very short amount of time. The main power-up that you encounter throughout the game is the B power-up. When Mario obtains this power-up, The name is pretty indicative of the power itself. Mario has the ability to hover around like a bee for a short amount of time, walk on flowers, and climb on honeycomb walls. Another power-up that is available is the Boo power-up. The Boo power-up gives you the ability to transform into a Boo. You can then wiggle the Wii remote in order for you to turn invisible for a brief amount of time, letting you pass through solid objects. The Fire Flower returns from previous Mario games, but in Super Mario Galaxy it is a timed power-up. Whenever you obtain the Fire Flower, you can then flick the Wii remote and Mario will have the ability to throw fireballs at enemies. The Ice Flower allows Mario to turn water and lava into ice platforms. And while on water, you can shake the Wii remote, which will allow Mario to skate quickly across the water. The Spring power-up is an interesting power-up, turning Mario into a spring, letting you jump super high. But it does cost the ability to accurately control Mario. The Rainbow Star allows Mario to be invincible for a short amount of time. And last but not least is the Red Star. The Red Star allows Mario to fly around the observatory, but unfortunately this power-up is actually not in any level in the game. It's a neat concept, I just wish they would have actually added into the game or into a level or two. They feel less like power-ups and more like Nintendo just wanted to throw something in the game in order to change the pacing. But overall, they weren't terrible, but they definitely could have utilized more throughout the game. Next, I just wanted to highlight some of the most memorable galaxies that showcases Super Mario's brilliant design. The Good Egg Galaxy. This galaxy wasn't difficult, and it wasn't just about platforming or combat. It was more like a playground that gave players the freedom to experiment with something gaming had rarely explored before. True 360-degree movement on spherical surfaces. The cheerful visuals and gentle learning curve disguised the radical nature of what Nintendo had accomplished from a design perspective. For many players, this was the first real test of Super Mario Galaxy's gravity mechanics, forcing them to rethink their understanding of video game spaces and movement. Good Egg Galaxy established the groundwork for the rest of the game's challenges. Honey Hive Galaxy is where the bee suit made its debut. This galaxy set the standard for what players could expect from Super Mario Galaxy's power-up system. The Honey Hive Galaxy forced players to master new controls and think differently about navigation. The bee-themed environments swarmed with creativity, from giant queen bee to the honey slides and flowering platforms. It was an early glimpse into what made Super Mario Galaxy so accessible, layered mechanics that were easy to understand, but opened up countless gameplay possibilities. Directly following Honey Hive Galaxy, we see a shift to a completely different environment, the debris-filled void of the Space Junk Galaxy. This transition was a striking contrast, trading the warm, natural setting of Honey Hive for the cold emptiness of space, dotted with floating structures and remnants of ships. The Space Junk Galaxy introduced players to the pull star mechanic, a gravitational tool that allowed Mario to be pulled towards specific points in space. The Battle Rock Galaxy introduced players to one of Super Mario Galaxy's most intense combat-focused environments. This galaxy expanded on Super Mario Galaxy's range of mechanics, proving the game could deliver high-intensity action sequences alongside its more exploratory areas. First, players had to contend with mechanical platforms that rotated, extended, or collapsed on timers, forcing split-second decisions. The environment itself was alive with activity, laser beams cutting across paths, bullet bills homing in on Mario, and bombs creating chain reactions that could either help or hinder progress. The culmination of this galaxy featured a confrontation with a massive mechanical structure, protected by a series of cannons and defense measures. The mechanics of managing both the platforming challenges and avoiding enemy fire highlights the versatility of Super Mario Galaxy's core gameplay systems. What stands as one of the most memorable and beloved stages in Super Mario Galaxy's journey, Gusty Garden Galaxy, represents the pinnacle of the game's artistic vision. Here, players navigate floating islands of rich greenery, with Mario surfing air currents to reach distant platforms. The environment itself is a visual masterpiece, beautiful and serene. The lush, vibrant landscape of Gusty Garden contrasts sharply with the mechanical or cosmic setting of other galaxies, immersing players in a world that feels both alien and familiar, encouraging players to think vertically in new ways. The musical score here is also widely considered one of gaming's greatest compositions, perfectly complementing the environment, with sweeping orchestral arrangements that evoke wonder and amplify the emotional impact of exploring these floating gardens. On top of your typical levels that you play here in Super Mario Galaxy, there are 3 different level types that are far different from their counterparts. These levels are known as the Manta Ray stages, the Trash stages, and the Rolling Ball stages. The Manta manta ray stages require you to point your controller at the screen and twist it like a key in order to control the manta ray. At first it seems like these levels would be a piece of cake, but these stages can be quite difficult, especially if you're going as fast as you possibly can on the manta ray. The next stages are the rolling ball stages. Step up to the ball, jump on top, and make your way to the hole on the other side of the area in order to get the star. I really think Nintendo made these levels to troll us here in Galaxy, because every time I would play this level it felt like my heart was beating out of my chest. And last but not least are the trash stages. All you do is randomly appear on a small planet that's filled with garbage. Use the bombs to get the trash off. This particular stage always has a time limit, and the time limit is set where you have to have a near perfect run in order to get the star. It was definitely nerve-wracking while the game constantly screams at you that your time is about to run out. These missions show how Super Mario Galaxy had a vast range of mission types, to where it never felt like I would do the same mission twice. Sure, the game had similar mechanics to get the stars and whatnot, but the mission itself is vastly different from, say, another mission that you previously completed in the game. The Comet Observatory served as the hub world for Super Mario Galaxy. As players progressed through the game, this initially darkened space station gradually came to life, with each rescued Grand Star powered a new section, revealing additional galaxies to explore. However, some players felt the observatory's linear design limited discovery and freedom. Critics argue that compared to the more expansive hub in Delfino Plaza in Super Mario Sunshine, the observatory sacrificed some of the joy of unguided exploration and the thrill of discovering hidden secrets at your own pace. The climactic confrontation in Super Mario Galaxy stands as one of the most spectacular finales in Nintendo's history. After collecting stars across dozens of galaxies, Mario's journey culminates in an epic showdown with Bowser at the center of the universe. The final battle takes place on a series of planets orbiting a sun, with Bowser growing to massive proportions and using the power of the Grand Stars. The grand orchestral score reaches its crescendo, with dramatic themes underscoring the gravity of the confrontation. This visual design is equally impressive, with planets crumbling under Bowser's assault and stars exploding in the background. When Bowser is finally defeated and the universe appears to collapse in on itself, the game delivers its most unexpected moment, a sequence where Lumas sacrifice themselves to prevent cosmic destruction, creating a new universe in the process. This bittersweet ending elevates what could have been a standard hero saves the day conclusion into something genuinely moving and thoughtful. The game's final moments, with Mario, Peach, and even Bowser being returned to the Mushroom Kingdom, while Rosalina continues her cosmic journey. This finale encapsulates everything that made Super Mario Galaxy special: innovative gameplay, spectacular visual design, emotional storytelling, and a perfect balance of challenge and accessibility. Just when players thought they had seen everything Super Mario Galaxy had to offer, completing the main story revealed an entire new layer of challenges. After collecting 120 stars and defeating Bowser with Mario, the game unlocked Luigi as a playable character, effectively doubling the content and offering a fresh perspective on familiar galaxies. This approach to replayability was brilliant in its simplicity. It encouraged players to revisit galaxies they had already completed, but the experience felt genuinely different rather than repetitive. Collecting all 120 stars again as Luigi rewarded the most dedicated players with a truly challenging final scenario. Beyond the Luigi unlock, Super Mario Galaxy filled its universe with countless secrets and optional challenges, from hidden one-up mushrooms to hungry Luma transformations that created entirely new planets. The game rewarded exploration at every turn. Purple coin challenges added time pressure situations that tested players' mastery of each galaxy's unique environments. What made these extensions to the core game so effective was their optional nature. Casual players could enjoy the main story and encounter plenty of secrets along the way, while completionists could dive into increasingly difficult challenges that showcase the depth of the game's mechanics. Among Super Mario Galaxy's most unexpected triumphs was its introduction of Rosalina. Hidden within the observatory hub world, players could discover chapters of a storybook that slowly revealed Rosalina's origin story, a tale of loss, found family, and ultimately cosmic renewal. This subtly delivered narrative stood in stark contrast to the minimalist storytelling typically associated with Mario games. Through simple illustrations and text, players learned of a young girl who left her home planet in search of her mother, only to become the adoptive mother to the Lumas, starlight creatures who would eventually transform into new celestial bodies. Years later, Rosalina remains one of Nintendo's most beloved and modern characters. As I close here, I want to say that the one main thing I notice is that in Super Mario Galaxy, these missions are very streamlined and straightforward, compared to levels in Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine. In Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine, the game leaves a lot up to the players to discover and what to do within the level. But in Super Mario Galaxy, you pretty much know what to do as soon as you land in each level. To some, Super Mario Galaxy's linear level design is actually quite the downside of the game. Many people think that Galaxy should have taken the sandbox formula from previous 3D Mario entries. However, Super Mario Galaxy allowed players to experience more variety in terms of environments, giving players less time to get bored with each new galaxy and level within it. Super Mario Galaxy hasn't just been enjoyed casually over the years, it's also developed a thriving speedrunning community that continues to push the boundaries of what's possible in the game. The first recorded any percent speedrun was completed back in 2014, with a time of just over 3 hours. Since then, runners have continually refined routes, discovered new skips, and optimized movement to bring the world record down significantly. Through countless hours of practice, top speedrunners like Tibbs, Jay, and XZ Rockin' have traded the world record back and forth, often improving the previous best by mere seconds. As of 2024, the any% world record stands at an astonishing 2 hours and 19 minutes, a testament to how thoroughly players have mastered every aspect of the game. What makes Super Mario Galaxy speedrunning particularly interesting is the variety of categories that have developed. While any%, completing the game as quickly as possible, remains the most popular, runners also compete in 120 stars and 242 stars, basically unlocking and completing everything with both Mario and Luigi, and various individual level categories have also emerged. And since the game has ported over to multiple platforms, originally on Wii, then on Wii U, and now on Nintendo Switch via the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection, each version has slightly different quirks and skips that runners must adapt to. As new skips continue to be discovered even years after release, Super Mario Galaxy has a vibrant speedrunning community that showcases both the depth of the game's mechanics and the incredible skill of its most dedicated players. If you're interested in a more in-depth analysis of Super Mario Galaxy speedrunning or other speedrunning games, please leave me a comment about what specific aspects you'd like to see covered. 15 years after its release, Super Mario Galaxy's influence on game design remains profound. Its reimagining of 3D platforming, breaking free from flat surfaces to explore 360-degree environments, expanded what was possible in the genre, inspiring countless developers to rethink their approach to level design and player movement. The game's spherical worlds solved many camera issues that had plagued 3D platformers, creating environments where players always had clear sense of direction and purpose without restricting freedom. Super Mario Galaxy's emphasis on constantly introducing new mechanics rather than exhausting a few core ideas remains a blueprint for maintaining player engagement. Perhaps most importantly, in an era where many developers were moving towards gritty realism and complex narratives during this time, Galaxy proved that pure, joyful gameplay could still drive a modern gaming masterpiece. Its unabashed embrace of color, creativity, and wonder reminded the industry that games didn't need to be serious to be taken seriously. This is why Super Mario Galaxy is my all-time favorite Mario game. While Super Mario Galaxy may be more linear than other 3D Mario games, I firmly believe that Nintendo did this for a reason. Super Mario Galaxy is easier for novice players to enjoy because of its linearity. Brand new 3D Mario players can easily jump in and get lost in the atmosphere of outer space, while in other games players might struggle to become fully engaged because oftentimes they can get confused or overwhelmed. If you haven't gotten the chance to experience Super Mario Galaxy, my advice to you is to find a way to play this game because I promise you, you will not be disappointed. It's now ported over to Switch, making it even more accessible. You can spend a weekend experiencing something that delivers a level of pure joy and wonder that few games have achieved in years since. I'd just like to say that I really enjoyed looking through this footage, making this video, and putting it all together, and your viewership is appreciated. I hope those who were lucky enough to experience Super Mario Galaxy when it first released can take something positive from this and relive some memories. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and keep reaching for the stars.